Guys, this is a little demonstration of how to deploy services from Cloudify, using that as an orchestration automation platform, deploying an ELine and a Path to our mininet, and I'm running on OS 6, running virtual machines for Mininet, Cloudify, and the Lumina LFM controller, the Flowmanager controller. And just to get started, I'll just show how this is our topology. So we have a bunch of switches and they're connected to hosts. And there's also links in there using the topology file, which is described in the plugin, the plugin that integrates between Cloudify and Lumina Flowmanager. So the topology looks like this. So we have the controller information, our hosts, and then we've got the links and switches. The topology looks like this, and this is our controller. And when I try to send packets between, I'll try to connect between host 101 to 303 or between the switches. And I'll just quickly demonstrate how that doesn't work. So I will capture packets on my Mininet server on switch 303, and I will send packets from 101 either with ARP or with ping, and this should fail. So incomplete, and then this still works. Let's try host 303. So unreachable. Okay. This is our Cloudify. Currently there's no blueprints or deployments. And just to verify, our controller doesn't have any paths or ELines, and we can also use Postman for that, just so that it's a little bit cleaner visually. So that's all empty. Now to get started, we need to fetch the Cloudify Flowmanager plugin. So this is the Cloudify server, and I'll clone the repository. On our Mininet server, we're also running the referenced plugin YAML. So in the plugin YAML, which we can see here actually, our blueprints are going to be referencing this file that describes the nodes and the node types. So we can either host it on our Mininet, which is currently running Nginx. So if I look at this, so this is user share Nginx HTML spec Cloudify LFM plugin 101 plugin YAML. So that's the file already copied in there. or we can reference them directly on the GitHub server. Now, to be able to install the plugin, all we have to do is just run the make wagon. And then just upload it. So make upload. Now, if the plugin is already installed for some reason and you need to reinstall it, you can just run the make replace, which will rebuild it, fetch the plugin ID, and then upload the package again. So it'll fetch the plugin ID, delete it, and then upload it again. So if I run plugin list, the plugin is there and it's installed, version 0.1.0. And then if I ever upgrade the version, then I can run multiple instances of that plugin, all installed on the same Cloudify server. Now in our examples folder, we have blueprints, and we have the Ethernet ELine, and you can see how the plugin YAML is referenced using the DNS file server. So as I said, we can either replace it with this URL directly from GitHub, or we can change that to the IP address of Mininet, which is currently running the Nginx, or you can host it anywhere that is currently running a web service. Or I'm currently using file server as a host that points to the Mininet IP, and that is file server. As you can see, it's pointing to the right server, and that is set up in the host file 192.168.50.40, and then just the name of the server, file server. So if you append that to the host file, then the blueprints will not need to be changed. So now that we have the plugin YAML, and the blueprints are configured and pointing to the right plugin YAML, we can go back to the Cloudify UI, just log out, start fresh. So I'm logging in, I go into the local blueprints and it's empty. I'll upload, and I'm using the blueprint zip file. Now, if you've made changes to the blueprints in the folder, then you need to delete the blueprint zip file and compress the blueprint folder again so that they're up to date. And the zip file is expected to be a folder including all the blueprint YAMLs. So I've included the zip file, and now I'll name my ELine. I'll name the blueprint with a name, so ELine Ethernet, and then I choose the file. So these are the files in that zip file folder, and we'll use the Ethernet one because we're using Mininet, which will allow it to connect. So the blueprint is created. I go into deployments, I create a new deployment. I'll call this my ELine test 1, and I'll choose the blueprint. Now I can either go one by one and fill all these up, or I already have these pre-filled within the examples inputs, ELine Ethernet test. And if we just look at that file quickly, samples, inputs, ELine Ethernet, then these are just the parameters that these fields are expecting, and I've just pre-filled those. So we've got the ELine name, I just called it ELine test, OpenFlow 101, which is our so here within our topology, so we're using OpenFlow. So OpenFlow 101, connecting 101 to 303, which is all the way at the other end. So we're connecting from here to here, all the way to the other end. And we're using port 1 for Mininet. It's important that we incrementally use the going from 1. And segmentation ID is not going to matter. It's mainly used for VLANs. And I've set some pathways, but we don't necessarily have to use those. I deploy. Now this will create a log file, which I'll tail just so that we can keep watching the what happens when we do install it. So if I look at this, then this should hopefully be created before we start the installation. Let's see. Nope. Have to wait for the file for the execution. So topology, we can see that we've got the 2 endpoint nodes that we've created in our blueprint, the path that connects the two endpoints, and then the ELines, both for IP and ARP, which are pointing to the path. So far everything's gone okay, and we've got our log over here as well, so we should be able to see any issues. I'll try to see if I can tail a file that doesn't exist. Yeah, no. Okay. Let's start the installation. So just double checking. No ELines. And no paths. Okay, execute. Oops. No log file. You can just watch it here. So this is now, all of these are ticked. If I check my controller, I can see that the path was created and the ELines were also created. So I've got the IP pointing to path test, and then, oh, damn it, I closed the one for paths. Let's recreate it. So this is path. Right, so that's our path listed here, and then the controller is already handling all the logic of how it gets from one point to the other. And the ELines, we've got the IP one, which goes on type 248, and we've got ARP that goes on 254. Okay, let's try. Everything here is green. Still no log file. Messed up something. I wonder what it is. Okay, so we will try. Let's dump the packets coming from switch 303, where before it was unreachable. Let's see what happens now. So now it's pinging, and those are getting captured over here. Let's try ARP. And that's also coming through. Okay, now if I If I go here and I uninstall, and this should kill my lines. So that's gone. This is gone. And let's try pinging again. Now it's unable to, and this goes back to being quiet. Okay, now if we wanted to run some of those commands in terminal, put in examples, mininet, we've got the sh command. So this file is already placed here. Right, so that's copy pasted already and it's there. And then if we need to run any command within mininet, and that should work. But I mean, now we don't have the ELine or the path, so it will fail, but it allows you to send through some commands through the through mininet. Let's see if there's anything else. The GitHub repository also has some information about extending the plugin in case you want to. And in the future, I will also create a virtual environment that is easily that you can easily set up and test everything yourself, or some sort of automated environment that we can provide for testing. That's about it. Leave some comments if you have any questions, and feel free to reach out. Thanks.